This committee has recently published the following study on societies outside metropolises, the role of civil society organizations in facing populism. The study consists of 250 pages. Why was this study necessary for committee, for European Parliament?
There are forces growing in the European Union who are anti-European. And most of those political forces are created on disinformation, on lacking of information, misinterpretation, and denying facts and figures. And so we felt that the civil society should have a research to know what are the reasons for growing electorate of those forces. And so we decided with our limited resources to do a study on examples. And we were looking at it in a way that we analyzed, is this just a question of poverty, or is there some additional aspects, are there some additional aspects behind? And so we have chosen 4 regions in the European Union. We tried to find some of them under the average income and some of them above the average income. So we could estimate if there is one source reason behind this. And we discovered, with the help of the scientists who have executed the interviews, that there is, of course, one reason is poverty. But there are many other reasons behind. For example, one reason is that the people do want to be heard of the European institutions. And there the civil society organizations come in again, because we are in contact with our citizen fellows. And by organizations, by meetings of organizations, by communication processes. And when we transport the information about Europe, as we transport the information about the countries back to Europe, then it could be a multiplying effect. And this is the reason why we have executed the study, and the follow-up includes now training for our members to communicate, to increase in degree of information about fields they are not working in, to have the knowledge to communicate and to answer questions when you are confronted with information or misinformation on a very solid base of knowledge.
Can you summarize what core features of populism were identified in this study?
First of all, it was misinformation and the wish to be heard and to be accepted in your needs by the European Union and to be protected by the European Union. We never realized that the expectation is so much focused on security, on keeping up your daily life, your living standard, increasing your living standard and your living conditions and your personal security.
Did you identify an identity problem for people in those countries?
We have, of course, indications as well, but which were not so clear that there is no European united identity. The people feel Romanian, Polish, Slovenian or German, where I come from, and then they say we live in Europe. The Americans, for the difference, and as a good example, they will always answer where you come from America, and then they come from Ohio, California, or New York State. And this has to be developed. The united knowledge, the united feeling. We are Europeans, we are belonging to each other, and we are helping each other, and we are in a united Europe better off.
So in this moment, we have 2 levels of identity. European identity, which is not very clear, and national identity.
Yes. The national identity is partially misused by so-called populistic parties and so-called populists to go against a united Europe and to close borders again and to build up prejudice against each other, which is not helping anyone in the European Union, but it might help those people to gain majorities.
What were the reasons for the rise of populism in the European Union in countries like Austria, Italy, and France?
In Austria, mainly it was the feeling not to be seen and not to be heard as a small country. And of course, there are some people who are really poor and feel not protected and not feel excluded from the wealthiness of the European community.
And in France?
And in France, it's a little bit different, but in the rural areas as well, not to be heard, because you have their small farms and population who is not participating in all the advantages of living in Paris or big cities in France like Marseille.
And what is the role of immigrants in this rise of populism in France?
The role of the immigrants is in some regions a big one, where the daily life is affected, and in some even the daily life is not affected. Still, it plays a role because it's a projection of fears. All fears go against the immigrants.